Hey guys, welcome to another video. I'm totally skipping work today, so you get the dirty me. Um, that's not the point. I had time to get a video done, so we're here to do it. I didn't mention before, we are obviously in a new space from the first couple of videos. We're in the middle of a never-ending reno in this house, and so things keep moving around. This should be the permanent location for my videos and my office and all of, vape table eventually getting all set up. But we're not fully set up yet. So at this point, the camera's sitting on a shelf, and I'm in the middle of a room on a chair, directly underneath a light. So we know there's some issues, and I'll deal with those eventually. But sadly, as much as I would like to make this top priority, it's not. But that's not why we're here today. We're here to talk about the eGrip. So if you saw my last video, you know that I won this in one of Phil Basardo, Mr. P. Basardo, one of his videos, one of his contests, and I was intrigued by it. Now, I know that it's not something I'm going to use regularly, but I have actually been enjoying it, so we're going to talk about it a little bit. But before we get there, we're going to go up close and take a little bit closer look at it instead of trying to hold it up in midair and make you focus on it. So we're going to go there. And then we'll be back. Alright, so here's the eGrip. This is a super small little handheld battery and cartomizer in one. So just as a size comparison, my nice and small Vapor Shark is a little bit taller. Vapor Shark's a little bit narrower, but it is considerably fatter. Oh, I'm firing. So the eGrip is nice and small, and it's including the tank, which is crazy to me that it's the tank and the battery. I don't know a lot about vape time and battery life just yet, as it's still new to me, and it's not something I vape all day. I keep this at the desk when I'm working on video editing or something along those lines. This is a video we're definitely not using, as my dog is very clearly in the background. So that's definitely what makes this unique, is that tank right there. It is essentially a clearmizer, and you get the airflow and the draw of a non-sub-ohm, non-big airflow clearmizer. And you can tell that when you first look at it, just because of the size of that drip tip. That is not even close to a large bore. So if we're going to compare that, I can't because of how I'm set up here, but it is way smaller than the sub tank. So let's do a little tour. This is the front or back. They're the same. One side says Joyetech, the other side says eGrip. You got a couple screws on the bottom. Well, actually just on that side. So we're going to call the eGrip side the back side. That is actually your airflow controller. So you can back that out to gain some airflow. You take that thing right out. The level of adjustment is pretty small. And then obviously both sides have the window for your juice. I didn't measure, but it's 2 to 3 mils that it holds, which isn't that bad for this type of device, being that it doesn't blow massive clouds and it doesn't move tons of airflow, so it doesn't go through the juice as quickly as something, say, like the Atlantis with a similar sized tank. This side is your fill. So this little door, I'll do it now because we're faced the right way. The little door opens up. And you can see there's 2 little holes there. So the larger of those 2 holes is so you can pop your, maybe not needle, but your narrower, the non-stubby drip tops. It can fit right in there, no problem. And as you squeeze it down, it allows air out that small other hole. This is a slow fill. You're not going to be there for a long time. Or you will be there for a long time. You don't want to try to rush it or it just backs out. So, close that up. Click it closed. You want to make sure it's closed. I did have some leaking. I think it was mostly what was already spewed out. The bottom. So, they give you a tool, but a quarter works just fine. This is actually your airflow hole. So that's where your air comes from. This, well, I was talking about where they give you that tool. is to unscrew, and you can get to your clear miser head and replace it. Comes with a spare. And then over here, bottom fed USB. Why people still do bottom fed USBs, I don't know. They need to, that needs to move. This should not be a thing. I don't know why you want to put some here. Even with this contained tank, I don't know, I don't like laying things down to charge. It doesn't make any sense. I'd like to be able to, if I'm charging it, just stick it somewhere. Use something else. I would like the video to focus. There we go. And then move on to something else while it's charging, not laying down off sitting on the table somewhere. It looks poorly thought out. It's nice. This one's a fantastic wood grain. I feel like this is actually legit wood. It might just be a veneer, but this feels great. It looks really good. I like it quite a bit. It's not a fingerprint magnet by any means. It's got texture to it, but you can even see on there it's a juice print magnet for sure. Okay, and then the last side, the button side. So you will notice that as I've gone through, this is variable wattage. There's no screen. So what this does is, there we go. It's just a dial. Super easy to use. You can see there it marks the 20, and then we're at 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18. Maybe it starts at 4, because we're definitely back at 20. And then when you fire it, you got it glowing. You got a little status light there. I have not done a lot of the reading. I'm guessing that will start blinking if your battery is getting low. I have not even depleted this battery yet, so it hasn't been used a whole lot. But it is actually surprisingly good. That is the extent of the walk around. There is not much else you need to know. When it is full, straight up and down, you cannot see your juice. Just all juice. Alright? That's about it. So the eGrip it's a tight draw. It's a clear miser inside of a battery, and it's all linked together. Now it's definitely not a mouth to lung, and as you saw in that close-up, even the hole in the drip tip, it's almost like they filled it in. They did extra work to not bore it out. But it doesn't affect its ability. So just to kind of prove that, it's not a lot of vapor, but it's good and it tastes fantastic. Now it is just a 510, so I can just remove that. It's a tight 510. This does not fit well on other devices, although I have no desire to use it in anything else. So we'll take the drip tip from the Kanger sub tank. Looks pretty cool. Performance is no different. It's the airflow restriction is definitely based off of the bottom and the size of that hole. So a smaller drip tip is actually kind of nice, just because it is so small anyway, to keep it small. I really like this. Is at this point, especially with this drip tip, it's totally stealthy. Like, it's pretty small. It's very small. And it's pretty awesome. I love this wood grain. Now the performance, how is it to use? I enjoy using this when I'm at my desk. When I'm doing the video editing, this has been my go-to. I love my, here, we'll trade drip tips. My sub tank, particularly for in the house when I am doing something. But when I'm working close up on the screen, that becomes a problem. I have to pause what I'm doing to sort of vape or really think about where I vape it to. That's still good, and the tank lasts great, but the size of this is fantastic. And when I was doing my unboxing, I said I was going to give this to my mother, who I think she would love it, but my wife is actually really intrigued by it. She really likes it. She thinks it's super cute. She really likes the wood grain on it. She loves the size, and this is her kind of vape. Even the sub tanks, any of the sort of lung inhale only tanks, even when I get good juice, I'm like, oh, here, try this. And she always chokes. She's not a lung inhaler. She likes that restriction, and this is perfect. And you do still have some adjustability by turning that screw and tightening it up. So it is pretty great. I do find, because it's a built-in tank, it is replaceable heads, and I do not know if there's different resistances for those heads. I'm curious a little bit as to why they even bothered with an adjustable wattage. Now, that could just be me finding that if you go down it's not usable, and maybe there's other people who would like it, so I guess it's nice that it's there. I plop it on 20 and I leave it there. Actually, I think 18 is where I've liked it better. It wicks a little bit better and I don't get that melting plastic taste every once in a while just before you get a dry hit. It seems to live on that edge at 20. 18, it seems to hold up pretty good. Now, I doubt you could hear that, but this has been how I hold it with my thumb, quite comfortable. That's not bad either, but both instances, this one's worse. My finger sits right on top of the air hole. Because it's so small, it's so easy to cover. Like, I'll rest it on my pinky. I will actually block the air hole because it's sitting on the bottom. I'm sure that's something you get used to, and being that I'm just grabbing this on occasion, I am definitely not used to it. But I think this is a really, really great all-in-one device. I wouldn't say for a beginner vapor necessarily. I don't like that terminology. But for someone who likes a slightly restrictive draw, not dealing with a tank on the top of something else that's small, this isn't any taller than the iStick, the original. I think it's thinner. It's definitely thinner, but it is longer. But you don't have to put anything on top. The fact that it's contained inside is perfect for traveling. You want to talk about a pocketable device. I didn't show in the close-up either. The 5 clicks will turn it off. That is like designed to go in your pocket. So it's fantastic. Now, will I keep using this? I probably won't. This will go to my wife when we're camping and we're traveling. When we're not doing that, I'll keep it at my desk, and I pretty much promise you I'll go to this on occasion. But what I would love to see is a bigger version of this that is a little bit more sub-ohm. I love the form factor, and it can get bigger, that's fine, but I love this idea of the tank being built in. You know, something like had the K-Box had essentially this built inside it, that would have been awesome. Make it a little bit bigger, and one side's for your battery, and one side has that inside. I would use that all the time. So the idea of this is phenomenal. It's not for my style of vaping, but honestly, I think this is a great, great device for anyone who likes a restrictive, very restrictive, slipstreaming lung inhale, or really for a mouth-to-lunger. If you like to mouth-to-lung, you've got some wattage customization. I forget, I think it's a 1.4 or 1.2 ohm head in there, but it's great. If that's your style of vaping, this is a great all-in-one device. Rechargeable, no batteries to mess with, no tanks to mess with, an easy head to change, and you can do that while the tank is full because you're upside down, and in fact you can just rest it right on the table, take it out, change your head, and put it back in. They've thought this through really, really well, and it's great. I do wish that the original drip tip just wasn't as long. I really like that look in comparison to that look. Now, we're not talking a dramatic difference. I think they're actually almost the same height, but just the fact that this has got a little bit of size tapering, it makes it seem smaller. But yeah, you know, honestly, it's, besides the drip tip, which is super small detail, and the fact that it's not designed for the type of vaping that I enjoy doing, this is a great device, and I would recommend it to anyone who likes mouth to lung. I will update if anything else happens to sort of pop up in my usage. Like, you know, I don't have any battery life details for you now, but it's great. And what I didn't mention actually is the flavor. I think I might have just glanced over it. The flavor is fantastic. It's very, very good. Right now I'm using Patient Zero, from Evaperated, a Canadian juice company, very good Canadian juice company. Well priced and good quality juice, lots of really good flavors. And it tastes just like it should. It tastes awesome. So yeah, I could ramble probably some more and keep saying the same things over and over again. If you're into mouth to lung, I definitely recommend picking it up. I don't have a price. I'll put that in the description with where you can get it. Just basically, I've got a few places I default go to for gear. I'll link to them if they carry it, and if not, I'll just pick the first Canadian place I can find that has it in stock and their price. So, eGrip by Joyetech. If you're into mouth to lung, check it out. All right, thanks guys.